This is part two in the Landlord series. Now we hear from the tenants. Let's get into the clips.
It's so funny how exactly 6 hours after I told my landlord, I called 311 on her. The heat is miraculously back on, and my apartment is 68 degrees. She put these plastic coverings over the windows, which I'm not really happy about because it's giving construction zone, but a win is a win. And yes, she is absolutely a slumlord. This little old lady knows exactly what she's doing. She lives on the bottom unit. She owns the entire brownstone, so she's like making bank. Her unit is the only unit that has renovated double pane windows, which is exactly why I knew the heat was leaking from the windows. And she tried to gaslight me and saying, "Oh my God, it's the AC. It's leaking through the AC. We have to wrap the AC." But no, it's just the windows. Anyway, it's all about money, and unless you complain, you're not going to get anything.
Said that he had to go to those lengths just to get proper heating in his unit. Again, if you're going to be a landlord, do it the right way. Don't cut corners and don't be a slumlord.
Quick tip for anybody looking to move. If you're a tenant and you're trying to move into a new place, listen up, guys. Do yourself a favor. Do background checks on the landlord, the property management company, the property manager, wherever you're about to move. Because guess what? They're doing their background checks on you. They're checking out your criminal history. They're checking out your credit. They're checking out your rental history. You need to take it upon yourself to do your background checks on them, right? Do your Google searches or go online and see what you can find. Check out that landlord's Facebook page. You do whatever you have to do because you're about to enter into a contract, a lease. And when you enter into a contract, you got to know, who are you entering this contract with? Who are these people? Because you don't want a slumlord, right? You don't want to end up with somebody that's not going to respect you or has a bad history of taking care of their tenants. For more for renters and tenants and landlords, check out Smart Money Bro on YouTube. Peace.
Man, you know you down bad in the landlord game when you got to run a credit check as a tenant on your landlord or property manager. Man, it's bad. But honestly, actually, it's a very good idea. Never thought about it. I mean, they're running background checks on you, running your credit, see if you have any type of criminal history. It makes sense to do the same, and it may avoid you end up renting from a slumlord. Let me know what you think about that in the comments below.
We're just showing yet of our house today. Our landlord gave us, again, not enough notice. Told us a friend was coming by to look at the place at 4. Okay, so this guy comes to our house at 4 and the landlord's not here. And my partner texts him and is like, "Hey, are you coming? Your friend's here." And he was like, "Oh, I'm running late. Can you show it to him?" So we ended up showing this guy that place. And this guy, it turns out, was also a landlord. And he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm taking a look at this place because I might take it over and find tenants for it." Like, apparently you can be like a second tier slumlord. Because like our landlord isn't selling it to him, but he might take over finding tenants for it. Maybe it's not worth what he's trying to get for it after all. Guess he's having trouble finding tenants.
Nasty work that the landlord set these tenants up, sent over another landlord who he's probably looking to sell the property to come check the property out, lies to the tenants and tell them that his friend wants to come over, when really it was just a walkthrough for probably the potential investor to take over this property. Again, when the landlord didn't show up and he asked these tenants to show this friend the property, they should have asked for something off the rent for being a realtor. Let me know what you think about that in the comments below.
Because they gonna know when Jacinia Clark is slapped to anything, my name holds weight. So let me tell y'all what's going on. Okay, so February the 9th, my neighbor's patio had fell in. Y'all can see this because I'm only recording this because we're not getting any help at all. That's his patio, fell completely through. When that happened, that cracked the breezeway. And remind you, this is the work that they did in December of 2022. This man in 16, well, I'm not going to say his apartment number, but this man had reported that in September and in June of last year that his balcony was a little wobbly, which is what happened. So let me remind you, this is the new stuff they put down, no permits, So as you see right here, it's cracking in the new foundation. Into the new foundation, I don't know if y'all can see that. That's a crack because, like I said, no permits were pulled. And yet I'm getting told by City of Gastonia it's a big project. Well, no shit, it's gonna be a big project when you don't do it right the first time. Okay, so that's another crack. Still in the same, in new foundation. Let me come out here. And let me show you mine when that happened. I know you can't see it because it's a lot of wood dust, but you can see it starting off right here. This is where it cracked. It started cracking, let me see my camera, from all the way back there. So when his fell down, it cracked the breezeway and it cracked this as well. So this is the front of my home, okay? And for some reason, we can't get anybody out here, so I'm just gonna tell it like it is because I'm tired. I'm really tired. It's me and my kids living in here. I'm tired. So let me show y'all a little trick when I open the door because it's nothing to hide since it's so safe to live in. Gotta do that to get in, okay? This is my living room. This is why I'm pissed. Look at this. That patio upstairs is dipping into my living room. Dipping into my living room. We have electrical issues. When they told me they was gonna send somebody from somebody to do the electrical stuff, they sent a maintenance man out that don't know shit about no electrical things. Okay, so already it's a fire hazard as we see because I cannot open my door properly, and
This is absolutely insane. Did you see that dip in her living room from the apartment next door? I mean, how is this even habitable for her to live in? And this is a shame because she's probably really forced to still live in her apartment because she probably doesn't have any money to move anywhere else. I mean, this is a major safety issue. Literally, the ceiling could come caving in at any moment.
is boarded up. Now let me show you where the other one is boarded up. Son, let me show you where the other one is boarded up and dipping into my living room. These people have said they have tried to relocate me. This is what the inspector of City of Gastonia said. And since it's a lie, he said, she said, I'm gonna tell it. He said that. They didn't try to relocate me. There's nothing in writing, nothing in email. They did not try to relocate me. So I don't even know why they told him that lie. They said night I was supposed to be coming out here. They're not out here. People's homes are boarded up. Okay? It's boarded up and it's not safe at all. And y'all, this is already pulled back, so I'm gonna tell it like it is because I ain't breaking up. You see this? It's already lifted, so can't nobody get me on nothing. Right here, cracking. You see this? Right here. You see that? Why is there wood right here? It's this.
Major foundational issues going on there. I wouldn't even have walked into that apartment anymore once seeing that dip in the ceiling and seeing how the neighbor's patio literally collapsed within itself. Um, it's insane, like I said, that they're not even trying to relocate this woman or anything. Again, hopefully she stopped paying rent immediately and is able to find somewhere else to live.
Hey everyone, I'd like you to join me in my descent into madness as I've dealt with the past 4 days of my bathroom falling completely apart. What started as a small consistent leak over the last 2 years has now led to my entire bathroom ceiling collapsing. Because of this, I haven't had access to safe bathroom use, and there's a giant hole in half of my ceiling. And you saw some pictures there, but now there's some video of what it looks like right now, where there's a lot more water falling than it was before. And the only thing that's kind of protecting and separating this giant hole and all of this water and whatever's inside the ceiling is this large plastic covering. that had a hole poked in it to redirect the water into the bathtub instead of directly over the toilet. But I still can't use it because my bathroom is covered in crap. So, housing, landlords, wonderful people.
Absolutely insane. I mean, again, this is the problem when you do patch job work instead of addressing the real issue. Finally, the ceiling caved in. Now she can't even use her bathroom. And again, we already know NYC, the rent in New York City is absolutely ridiculous. So I mean, I'm sure she's paying probably at least 2,500, 3,000 a month for that place, if not more, and she can't even use the bathroom. I mean, if you're going to be a landlord, at least have some common decency to at least provide basic necessities.
So I've been sitting outside since 8:30 this morning waiting on a waterman to pull up because my landlord forgot to pay the water bill. This is the third time, right? And what pisses me off even more is that I just paid my rent. I'm always on time. And it's just so weird because it seems like the higher the pricing goes to survive in this country, the lower the quality goes in accordance to the services that we're supposed to be paying for. And it's sad to say that renters feel like they have no voice in this city. We gotta go through everything in order for us to get things fixed. But yet, we gotta pay our rent on time or we'll get kicked out. Make it make sense. And it's literally been like a trend for like landlords to not pay bills that they're supposed to pay, and the renters are the ones that gotta suffer. So all I'm saying is if y'all don't keep price gouging and raising prices on rent, y'all accountability needs to increase as well.
Mm. Number one, if you're going to be a landlord, make sure you get the utilities in the renter's name. Number two, this tenant should be compensated for her time. She should not be having to wait out there for this someone from the water company to come out to turn the water on when it was the fault of the landlord for not paying the water bill on time. Again, it's absolutely no excuse for the landlord, he or she, not to be paying this water bill on time because they expect the rent to be on time and they don't want to hear any excuses. And if you're late, there are late fees associated with that. Again, she should be compensated for her time for having to wait outside for this water department to come to turn the water back on. Absolutely insane.
Let me tell you a little bit about me and what's going on with my life. I moved all the way from California back to the South, where I love the South, but I moved to a new state and I got scammed on the internet. Yes, I do have a place to stay, but it was very fraudulent. There was a lot of omission of facts, lots of stuff wrong with the place. Biggest thing though, doesn't really have a roof. There's a tarp on the roof that's been there for 15 years. I only found out from talking to townspeople. The whole roof is leaking every time it rains, and if you've ever been to Louisiana, you know it rains a lot here, and it rains really hard, so that's fun. Turns out that she's been doing this to a lot of people. She preys on people that are sick, elderly, single mothers with autistic children. That was a real thing that happened. People who don't live in the state, so they can't come and look for themselves and are trapped here because they don't know where else to go, don't know anybody here.
Never sign a lease without actually walking through the actual unit that you're going to be viewing. Even if you're out of town, I mean, honestly, I would try to find someone local that maybe you could pay a few dollars and for them to FaceTime and walk through the unit with you so you can avoid situations like this slumlord.
Okay, that's where we're at right now. I started asking around what I can do, and I had the compliance officer come and inspect the house, and she's like, I already know all about this house. I know what's wrong with this house. But she came and she took notes, and she's like, I got this for your if you have a court date. And speaking of, someone in City Hall told me that my landlord was getting sued and had a court date today. And so I was there. Okay. And I was just like grinding my teeth because I was like, oh my God, the judge almost granted her the rights, but she lost. And so she has to pay that person back the deposit for the money that they never stayed in the place. She took their money. An 80-year-old man, it's his birthday today, he turned 80 years old, and never gave them the keys, okay? And she was like, I'm not gonna give them their money back. What, sister? But it was really hard to watch that case or that hearing because the plaintiffs were just not very good at like speaking up for themselves or like having like lots of facts and what's evidence. They had enough, obviously, because they won, but it was like so drawn out. The judge was not really sure what to do until he eventually was like, nah, you have to give them their money back, bro. Fast forward to me calling my compliance officer again, and she's like, girl, I already know. I was trying to be at that hearing, but I was in a meeting. But I went and asked what happened at the courts or the judge's office, and she found out what happened. And so she's gonna come with the state dude.
Sounds like the compliance officer may be able to take care. Sounds like she's giving her the runaround. When she first came out initially, she said she already knew about this house. So if she already knew about this house and they had complaints, I mean, why is she having to come out now with a second person from the state? Not making sense to me.
Tomorrow, and she's trying to get a hold of my landlord who's dodging her calls because they have like history, and they're all going to be here tomorrow. So my landlord, who saw me in court today, by the way, and the state dude who could condemn the house that I'm living in, which I don't know where to move yet. And then we've got the big house that needs to be condemned because she's scamming people there too. And there's an old man, Jerry, that lives there, and there's no homeless shelter here, so we gotta figure out what we can do for Jerry. There's so much. I was gonna drive to NOLA tonight, but now I have to wait till tomorrow because I gotta figure out what's going on with this. I don't want to leave my man's to do this by himself because bless his heart, he's not great at talking. He's super quiet, and that's why I love him. But I need to be there. I need to be the big dog to stand up for us. And I just don't know what else to do going forward. I need to find a place to live in this small town, and it's proving to be difficult. It's hard. I'm gonna figure it out, and I'm gonna get these houses condemned so she can't do this to anybody else. Because she's scamming people, man. Like, it's crazy. The free labor, extortion, like the state compliance person was like, this house should be rented for like $300. Guess how much it's rented to me for? $900. Okay. And one more thing, she's doing tax fraud with the house, with the taxes on the house. So yeah, she's going down, bestie. Best believe. Oh, but I am going through it.
Sound like this landlord got her hands in literally every type of scam possible. Again, one thing I will say, she's very calm and very even cool for a person going through all this situation. I mean, literally, if they condemn this house, she's going to be homeless, and I wouldn't be surprised even if she does get a judgment against the landlord. The landlord will probably say she does not have the funds to pay. So I wouldn't hold my breath on getting any type of money deposit, security deposit, anything like that back anytime soon.
Hey TikTok and all my fellow crocheters. Okay, so I wanted to comment on this comment right here. It definitely feel like I'm being harassed. When I say she goes through my trash, we both have our own separate backs to our backyard. She has her backyard, I have mine. She got a key to my backyard. So every time I turn around, she back there, so-called cleaning. So let me remind you, on my lease, it basically said that she's supposed to clean the front and back and still do the garden work or whatever. Let me remind you, she is older. I think she's like almost 80 or something like that. But either way, it's just like, if you can't stand by what you agreed to on a lease, why lease? The harassment is to the point where I don't even like stepping outside my door without making sure that she's not out there. Y'all might notice, like, in my first video, I was just looking behind me, looking around and stuff like that. Like, I got generalized anxiety disorder. And the time of me making that video, she was on her balcony just standing there. And I was standing outside just waiting for her to go in the house. Like, it should never be to the point where I can't feel comfortable in my own home. It shouldn't be to the point where I don't even want my kids to go outside and play because I feel like I already know she's going to end up saying something. I can't even have people over without her wondering who it is. One time I had an incident, right? And the ambulance was coming down here because I hurt my hand or whatever. Guess who come running down the stairs behind them? Like, lady, you are not my mom. And she talking about something, why you didn't call me? What you mean why I didn't call you, lady? Like, I can't do this.
Sounds like she is a newsy old lady, more than likely retired, has nothing but time on her hands, and just wants to be in everybody's business.
So I'm having an issue with my bitch ass landlord, and this is just basically me asking for help from anyone who, lives in LA or has lived in LA and has to go forward or has had to go forward with suing your landlord. So just a little bit of context. I moved out of my old place, my apartment, at the end of October. I had 2 roommates, we moved out at the same time. And on the last day of us being in our apartment, like literally we were given the keys back, our landlord, who is already low-key like the bane of my fucking existence, because she's a bitch, and low-key I feel like she's kind of racist and doesn't like black people. But anyways, on the last day of the walkthrough, like on the last day during the walkthrough, she just randomly pulls up this random $600 unpaid water bill that isn't billed to us, and like we had no idea of it. And we were just like, okay, like, what do you want us to do about that? This is like the last day. And she's like, well, we just need to get this figured out. It's like, okay, I don't know why we have to figure out a bill that's in your name. So we look at the bill, and it does say it's registered to our apartment, but it doesn't say our name, and it says the time that we were living there. Still, doesn't say our name. The bill totals up from everything.
I mean, just off top, I mean, were they paying you when you signed this lease to move in? Who was responsible for the utilities? Was it the landlord or the tenant? I mean, this should be very cut and dry. I mean, if you as the tenant were responsible for the water, then you should pay it. But my only question is, why did she wait till the day before you're about to move out to present you with a bill? Kind of makes me think that maybe the landlord was responsible for the utilities all along, and she may be trying to get over.
Everything that she sends us, like, to $1,600 that was unpaid over the past 4 years. And it was because our old landlord before this dumb bitch, I think he may have registered like a specific meter that was under our apartment or like under our address, but it just went unpaid because like no one knew about that. The old landlord didn't tell us, and this new landlord obviously doesn't know what the fuck she's doing, so she didn't catch that until the day we moved out. Anyway, she keeps harassing us, saying like this needs to be paid. I'm not paying it, like I'm not responsible for that. Obviously we didn't live there. My roommate and the landlord like were on like a 3-way call with the water department, where the landlord lied, basically, because she's a fucking liar. And then it got to the point where we were like, okay, do we have to like get an attorney involved? Because like she's like fighting with us about giving our money back. Like she wanted to use our security deposit to pay this bill, which I don't think that's in our lease agreement. I don't think that's in anybody's lease agreement. So we finally were just like, okay, like fucking take our security deposit then and use it towards this bill that just came out of nowhere. That's not even billed to us. It's literally your responsibility. And we'll figure out how to dispense the funds on our own. So we came up to that agreement on our own. We emailed her, let her know that like she can keep the deposit, as long as like it just means that we're never gonna be like liable for this random bill. So then she comes back. I think she's like actually like insane. She comes back responding saying that this water bill that was originally $600 is what she told us in person, and then when we actually counted it up, it amounted to about $1,600. Said it was close to $4,000 that she paid for us. How nice of her, how generous of her to pay. And she was willing to overlook that if we are willing to pay an extra $1,000 or like pay $1,000 to do fixes on like the apartment. Common wear and tear, like stuff that she needs to fucking do anyway, but she wants to charge us $1,000. It's past 21 days, which under California law means she is not entitled to our security deposit anymore because she didn't give us any of it back, but also she hasn't we haven't received any type of like receipt or itemized letter or anything like that showing what needs to be fixed. So I'm not really sure what the fuck she's been doing for the past like 3 weeks, but she was supposed to be fixing all that stuff in the apartment, and she kind of gave herself away in the email saying we will have to get this fixed, meaning you haven't done it yet. Meaning, you're trying to get us to pay you $5,000, even though you're supposed to be refunding us $3,000. Anyway, we're taking that bitch to small claims, but let us know like if you have any tips or tricks or advice on like what to do in small claims when it comes to like your landlord.
A lot of unnecessary confusion here. I mean, it should be very simple. Even before this new landlord took over, who was responsible for paying the utilities? I mean, common sense tells you if you rent a house, you rent an apartment, um, who's going to be responsible for the water? I mean, usually sometimes you rent an apartment, it may be included, or they charge you, a fixed rate. They charge you, $75, some type of flat fee. If you're renting a house, usually the tenant is going to be responsible for the water. So this should be very, black and white. I mean, either y'all were responsible for, the utilities or you weren't. So I'm not understanding the confusion here. She's not really being very clear or transparent. And secondly, it is kind of weird that the landlord waited till a day before they're about to move out to present them with this bill. It almost seemed like this was maybe an excuse to keep their security deposit. Because whenever it's time to return a security deposit, these landlords get real funny style and coming up with all types of things that they need to repair or fix so they do not have to return a deposit. But let me know what you think in the comments below. Tell me your slumlord stories in the comments below. I look forward to hearing from you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.